so much time.
Becoming the greatest fighter in the world, or surviving unknown horrors in a puzzle-filled mansion, there was a soundtrack that accompanied you on your journey. We have gone from chip tunes on a keyboard to full orchestral scores, from humming the theme of Mario Brothers to singing along discreetly while playing Metal Gear's Snake Eater, hoping no one knows what we are listening to on our devices. Video games and music have come together to bring us new experiences. Today, we're going to discuss how the intertwined journey of both has influenced our artists today. So, without further ado, let's start our introductions, and we're going to start off with Milyssa. But first, let's get to know Milyssa. Here's a little teaser of some of the things that she's put out.
It's too much to make me say. Wipe away your brain, wipe away your tears, wipe away the insane. Wipe it away, you can't make me stay, you can't make me stay. The walls cave in, the air gets thin. I don't know when the road ends or when it begins. It seems like my life is better if it ends. Every day's a struggle, a curse, not a blessing. I count the hours and the days. Each minute that passes, the pain won't go astray. My pain won't go astray. Gotta get my life. I gotta protect my peace. I gotta turn the page. I gotta make a change. Gotta get my life. I gotta protect my peace. I gotta turn the page. I gotta make a change. They doubted me, will snap your neck. Down and out, you're out of the count. Word, blow by blow, when the bell tolls, it's time to go. And which way to go, and you're next to go. Don't think you can beat us, 'cause you'll die slow.
Ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Milyssa Rose. Milyssa, tell us about yourself, please.
I'm Milyssa Rose. I'm a singer, actress, entertainer, songwriter, entrepreneur, captain of my own shit show. That's me, in a nutshell.
Basically, there's nothing you haven't done yet.
Porn. I haven't done porn.
well, you know, guys, I can't plug that one for you, but Milyssa, you know, hey, if you put it out, I'm sure folks will hit the site. There you go. All right, moving on next to the Theme Team. Wow, that took me away there. Fellas, please introduce yourself to the audience.
Hey, how's everybody doing? My name is Kaz. I am one half of the Theme Team. You know, we are artists and producers, you know, video editors. Basically, in a nutshell, we take theme songs from, you know, video games and movies and TV shows that, you know, we love, and we flip them, and sometimes we just do instrumentals to them, and sometimes we do songs to them, which is, you know, why you saw all the different videos. So that's some of the videos and songs we have flipped or are getting ready to this year.
Amazing.
I'm the other half of the Theme Team, and pretty much everything you just said, that's pretty much what we are.
All right. Well, excited to hear more. Moving on to Raxiel Liz, the man, the myth, the legend. There is nothing that he has not done. Hopefully, not porn as well, but who knows? I don't know. We'll find out from him. But here's a little taste of some of his
I'm working
latest
on it.
drops.
Milyssa Rose keep playing. She keep playing. No.
¿Qué lo que tú fle? ¿Qué es lo que tú crees? ¿Qué es lo que me ves? Maldito me ven y me quieren matar, fucking bulletproof vest. Ellos no saben, yo tengo la clave que corre en la calle. Si no tengo la clave, maldito tú sabes, yo tengo la llave. Yo soy el león, el mejor, ya tú sabes, yo soy un cabrón. A mí no me puedo tocar las dos voces, yo soy Calderón. ¿Qué es lo que tú crees? ¿Qué es lo que me ves? A mí no me importa quién tú eres, puta, me llaman the best. Ellos ya saben, yo tengo los tiros que caen como Kobe. La calle me llama, tu mujer me ama, la parto Shinobi.
Hey.
Just fire right there.
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice.
Raxiel, tell us about you, sir.
Yeah, appreciate it. Oh, obviously an artist, and I rap in Spanglish, like Spanish and English, depending on who I'm collabing with or what I feel like doing at the moment. I'm a director, a script writer, an author, a cartoonist, and I'm working on the porn. I'm working on it. So that's pretty much everything in a nutshell there. You know, I've got passion for just entertainment, period. And but yeah, just got a big passion for entertainment. I do a little bit of all of it. You know, try to get my hands a little dirty in all the crafts and everything. And you know, if I see something I like and I don't know how to do it, I jump into it and figure it out.
All right. And after the show, you're going to have to tell me where I can get a crown like the one you got, because I need one in my house. All right. And last but not least, by far.
I'll send you the link.
All righty. All right. We have Scarred Falyfe.
And every day I say end it all. Every day, we need to end this all.
Every day I've been running in circles, I swear that I'm going insane. All that I wanted was love, but you keep on playing these motherfucking games. Tried to make it work, you let it break. Keep on coming back, people never change. Way too hard to love, never be the same. I'm just living life, staying in my lane. I think I'm going insane. I think I'm losing my brain. All of the negative shit is irrelevant. Fuck them and fuck what they all gotta say. Yeah. People come and go, hoes come and go. Oh, wanna unload, wanna let this bitch go. Break down these bars, going straight up your nose. I don't wanna hear speak no evil full of cold. Middle fingers in the air, nobody said this shit was fair. Round and round I go, hollow bottles, losing my mind. Oh my god, this is nonsense, this is not it. Fuck it, need to end this right now. I've been at the bottom like way too long, so fuck you, I'm not in the mood right now.
Gotta say, I have heard this track at least 10 or 12 times already. Love it each time I hear it. It is official. Scar, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, so I'm a 23-year-old recording artist and songwriter from Kenosha, Wisconsin. I'm also a digital artist. Pretty much 90% of the content I put out, I either directed them, like hold the camera here, hold the camera there, because like really my inspirations on my digital art and like how I promote myself is kind of through like movies. I'm really into supernatural stuff. So like I've been kind of dipping and dabbing in film and learning about things because I'm trying to break out of just being a rapper. Like, you know, I've been rapping for about 10 years now. So like I want to get into like film, and I've always dreamed of like filming a scary movie. And The Crow, Brandon Lee in 1994 is my all-time favorite movie. So I do want to I want to reiterate that movie in my own perspective when I get there. I'm just not ready yet. So yeah, that's pretty much, you know, about sums up everything. I've been working on a lot. I'm kind of putting my album together, but I want to drop, you know, I want to make sure I build hype for it and drop a lot of singles and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got going at the moment.
All right, sounds great. I'm eager to see everyone's new projects. So back to the topic at hand. Video games and how they've impacted the music industry and impacted you specifically as artists. Now, it's one of those things that kind of sits at the surface that we don't really think about until you dive in and you see how much it's actually impacted. And if we took just one game, and I'm going to take this one because I'm a huge fighting fan, if you took a game like Street Fighter, for example, and you pull apart how many different parts of not just the entertainment industry, but the music industry and the artists and how it's impacted them, you will see that it has a long relationship with hip hop specifically, right? In 1987, it was this kind of choppy, gritty mess. But then as it moved on to Street Fighter 2, there was a huge impact into hip hop culture, and it started to integrate with some music creation, and a lot of artists not only sample the tunes that came from the arcade, but also decided to start putting the sounds in there as part of their lyrics, right? So you heard Hadouken, you heard Chung Lee's kick, you heard Bison, and you heard Sagat's laughs. Like, you heard a lot of different things that you didn't realize that they were part of the Street Fighter universe. And so for just a quick second, I'm gonna pull some lyrics, and I didn't put this together. Unfortunately, this came from Genius, so I thank them for actually putting a wonderful video. I'll leave the link in the description for that too. But you can see it's almost subliminal, but once you pull it apart, you're like, wow, it really was impacting so many songs at a time. And so let's just take a All right. So that was just a small taste of like the hundreds of songs that have Street Fighter mentioned in it somehow, some way. And I didn't even have the samples of songs that took from the chip tunes and included that and remixed that and remastered that into their background. So it's amazing. Now I'm going to gush about Nas for a little bit because he's one of my favorite artists. And so, as terrible as the Street Fighter movie was, yes, casting Van Damme as Guile was probably the stupidest decision anyone ever made. But outside of that, it was interesting because they were asked to put together an album to go along with this, a soundtrack. Huh? I'm sorry, Raziel, what'd you say? Oh, looks like I missed it. Well, so it's funny because Nas put that together in almost like one take.
No,
like he was given.
Don't act like Van Damme wasn't your hero at one point.
he was in Bloodsport, not as Guile though. It worked in some movies, not others. And so here's a good example of how it impacted the industry, where you had this pretty horrible movie that was being put together, right? It's I'm sorry, it's terrible. Please, we can discuss that offline. That's just a hot mess. However, even though it was this campy, really like weird movie they put together, they knew that they had something special there, that they were going to be hundreds of thousands of teenage kids that were looking forward to seeing this movie. And they wanted to make sure that they could get a quick money grab. And so they said, we need an OST. We need an original soundtrack to go with this. And what goes better with Street Fighter than any other genre? Hip hop. And so they just told them they had about 48, 72 hours to put something together. And Nas was one of the artists on this track, and he pulled one-on-one, and he did it almost in like one take in the studio. And it was just something that, like, I think he thought about it for an hour, and it just went into the booth and spit it out, and it was like, all right, guys, I'm gone. But it shows you like how much it was ingrained in him as an artist to be able to just think about it, right? Like he needed reference, he needed understanding to put this together. And so that means that whether he thought of it or not, it was something that kind of intertwined with his life a little bit. And so that's what we want to talk about, right? And so I'm going to start it off with the Theme Team, because I think you guys did something really cool with the release of the new Mortal Kombat movie. You guys also did a Mortal Kombat remix. Now, this is one of the most iconic songs ever, right? The Immortals did something so special. They didn't know it was going to be special, but you hear that song come on anywhere, you can't help but listen to the whole thing. I feel I don't think I've ever met anybody that said, skip that, I don't want to hear that right now. Everybody. And then the crazier thing is everybody usually lets out the cry at some point, even if it's just a little whimper, because they're in the office, right? They're like in the bathroom, Mortal Kombat. But you have to, right? It's part of the phenomenon. And so talk to me a little bit, fellas, about how you decided to do this project, and how you've been impacted.
Well, I think it's really interesting the fact that the song itself wasn't related to the video game, but it came from the first movie. And even though it was on the movie, it's just stuck the whole time. Even if you don't know anything about Mortal Kombat, you can hear that song and know what it is from. Like, if you got kids, anybody that was around video games or anybody that actually played it eventually, come to hear that song. And I think, with Nas, to me, it's more like relations. Whenever you have something as big as the game industry and the fact that it is so widely known across the entire earth, you're going to use references that people can relate to. And the fact that even if you didn't play these games, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, any of these type of games that, especially back in the day on Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, all those games and all their music was stuck in your head. Like, if you've got kids and you hear them playing in the background, you'll eventually get it stuck in your head and not even know what it's from, and then you'll reference to it. So a lot of that, I think, is just having the ability to relate to other people and why they use it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it as well. I mean, I really enjoyed doing that song. I mean, I remember playing the game, the very first game on the little handheld, Game Boy, and just hours and hours and hours and hours playing that game until you beat it, and then even after you beat it, you keep playing it over and over. So I never would have thought that 20 years from then or whatever, however long it's been, that I would be actually just making a song to it and doing what we do. And that just we're trying to keep up with all of the different movies coming out and stuff. So for us, like Mortal Kombat, there was something extra special about it because it wasn't just a movie. It was a video game that we grew up playing. And I mean, we loved, we only do stuff that we like, that we love to do. I mean, we will take, suggestions for theme songs to mess with and stuff, but Mortal Kombat was one of those that, we like doing. And, it influenced us, and, just hoping that, we'd be able to influence some people with what we did. And, if you hear the song, we try to put a whole lot of just, slide in some little references and stuff like that. So, I mean, we have fun with it.
Easter egg.
Now, right. Milyssa, you had the pleasure of being on this track with the guys. How did you feel when you heard that you were going to be laying some vocals for a Mortal Kombat remix?
I was excited about it because I loved Mortal Kombat growing up. That was my shit. So I was on board with it. And everyone loves the theme song. What's there not to love about it? So when I knew they were remixing it, I had to be on it. So I was honored to be asked, and I think everything turned out really well with it. The video, like.
Now, Raziel, you have done a little bit of everything, right? Whenever I talk to you, you're either writing something, directing something, rapping on something, acting in something. I don't know. Like I said, the only thing that is the exception is porn, and you said you're probably working on one right now. So, I don't know, guys, look for the OnlyFans soon. That might be where it starts. Get in early.
I will not.
You have to support the man.
Something like
But Raziel, tell us how video games, because you and I have spoken about games, on and off, and even with our busy schedules, like you still find time to play things. How does that impact your creative process? What have you leveraged from the games you've played, your favorite games, into your art? I think we lost him a little bit.
I think he's frozen.
I think there's a drag time or something happening.
There's a glitch in the
I would
matrix.
say my life of video games started way back. I'm telling my age now. ColecoVision, Atari. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
Can you hear me? Yo,
Yeah, we hear you.
you can hear me?
Yeah.
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 All right, cool. No, I would say my love for video games and music started way back. I'm talking about all the way back from Atari, ColecoVision, the whole nine. Games like Karate Champ, Sonic the Hedgehog Part 2, the Snowcap Zone, the music on that was crazy. Games like Contra had a dope soundtrack all the way up to going forward to, I remember playing Tomb Raider Part, I think it was, where the violins came in. And I heard these violins one time, and I ran to the studio, and I had to sample the violins and do a track over the violins. And everybody was like, where you get this beat from? Where you get this beat from? And I was like, I got it off Tomb Raider. And that Tomb Raider game led into me trying to find other beats I could sample. That led into Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII, all the way to Metal Gear. And it became like sampling all these beats from different video games and adding drums and kicks to them. And to this day, there's music that I'll listen to that, granted, we're in a different age now where I don't post things too much to like for free to like SoundCloud or things like that. So the fact that we have platforms like Spotify and Apple Music, you got to go these clearance. So, the chances of you getting a clearance from $1 million video game is scarce. So what we'll do is we'll hear beats from different games and we'll be like, maybe make a beat that sounds like that. Or if we're filming a movie or we need a soundtrack for a movie, I'll be like, hey, remember that game we was playing, such and such, Uncharted or to Horizon? It had a beat that we like. So we'll go into the studio and make a beat that sounds similar to that, that reminded us of that, and implement it into the actual movie or the music. With that being said, like video games influence a lot of things, all the way down to the music, down to the clothing, because there's times that we buy clothing that I've been on video sets where I'm wearing a shirt that has like Mega Man in the front. I got a hat on that has like Sonic the Hedgehog or whatever the case is, but it's real hip hop. It's down to earth hip hop and people love it. So video games influence hip hop and music in every aspect you could think about, man. As much as hip hop has influenced people, video games have done the same along with hip hop. It's like a force that can't be reckoned with. It's just, they go hand in hand. Like if you like video games and you like hip hop, the creative juices would just start flowing on its own. I hope you heard everything I said.
Yeah, I heard it.
Scarred, talk
Yes,
to
sir.
us. Tell us how video games have impacted you.
They impacted me, like I was born in '97, so like that technically, I didn't really like grow up and play video games until about, the original Xbox and like GameCube and then Game Boy and things like that. So like, like just playing like Pokemon on a handheld Game Boy or like, like growing up like Tekken and Street Fighter and Soul Calibur, those were like my favorite fighting games as far as that, besides Mortal Kombat. So like, you know, those were awesome. But then it's like you start playing games like Super Smash Bros. And then, you know, you go back and play Sonic on the older games, and I experienced that for the first time. But it's like, man, it's not as cool as this stuff because the graphics are way newer, you know? So like I didn't really start appreciating older games until before, but like the reason they impacted, like now, like I progressively see like people kind of creating like virtual, like okay, like for God of War, for example, the game is revolved around Kratos, and he's like the main character. Like everybody like thinks Kratos is like the shit. He's the god, you know, who's slaying all the other gods. But like now it's like people in the entertainment business are kind of creating like that kind of persona to where everything revolves around them, and then down from the image, the tattoos on the face, the way they dress, the way they look, the difference. It's like, you know, so it's like people are creating like individual virtual reality characters for social media digitally, you know. So it's like it's definitely impacted a lot. And then like, you know, like the baby, a lot of his music has certain bounces to it that like I could see coming from like 80s arcade games and things of that nature. So yeah, like, and then Call of Duty too. That was another reference I was gonna make, because like after Call of Duty and Battlefield were like real big, you start seeing people wear like bulletproof vests in their music video and things like that. So like, you know, even army tanks in the background, they're probably like some museum or something. So like, yeah, it's definitely impacted, you know, the culture a lot. But I think each form of entertainment kind of, you know, helps each other evolve. As far as movies, like, you know, Grand Theft Auto, like, you know, people really having that persona, oh, I can do anything I want with no consequences as long as I get away. Like, that kind of comes from like Grand Theft Auto, you know, like you can go do whatever the fuck you want as long as you get away from the cops, you're fine. And it's like so I don't necessarily think all video games impacted like hip hop in the most positive way, but it definitely has a lot of positive influences as well.
Well, you know, it's funny that you mentioned Modern Warfare, probably the most toxic game in all of gaming, right?
Yeah,
And
that's also around when trolling started too, like on the headsets, like, and then it moved on to social media and music, and then it's like, dude, what?
and I could tell you, you know, here's a small anecdote to show you how impactful video game culture is, right? I used to run with a group, and we played Modern Warfare 2, and you know, we were those guys. Those guys. I'll just leave it at that. You fill in whatever blanks you want. But anyway, one of our friends was in Texas, and you know, you can do whatever you want in Texas when it comes to guns, right?
Right.
And he invited me and my wife to come down, and he's like, "Listen, I know it's your wife's birthday. I want to do something for y'all. Why don't you come down to Texas and we'll go shooting, right?" And I'm like, "This is fantastic. You know, I'm gonna
Okay,
go."
right.
So we flew down to Texas, and he was a gun collector, and he literally brought out almost every weapon that he could from the Call of Duty arsenal for us to actually shoot in real life.
That's
And
awesome.
you know, I was paranoid because I'm a New York guy, right? In New York, you get
Right.
arrested for even thinking about a gun. But you know, he like pulled up his F-150. He got a bunch of gun cases. He just starts throwing these things in the back. I'm like scared shitless because I'm like, my God, if they pull us over, they're gonna think we're gonna try to take over like a building or something.
Right.
And we went to a range, and he let us try everything with hollow sights and all that, and it was an amazing experience. But it shows you, right? Like, you know, we spent this time playing this game for so long, you know, and it's interesting because I feel that people don't, you know, have a lot of places to hang out anymore in real life. So what do? They hang out in these game lobbies, and this is how they meet folks, right? And
Exactly.
you know, like a bar, you meet good people and you meet bad people, right? And so
Yeah.
it's interesting how video games not just impact music, but they impact culture and how we interact with one another, because now people are like on Discord, and they're on, you know, Twitch, and they're on all these different platforms, you know, sharing and communicating with each other what they normally would have done in a bar, right? Or at some type of gathering. But back to the music. I felt like I had to share that because I was one of those people that became some Call of Duty weirdo, right? I noticed that we have Silent Hill in the background. And what I want to say was that video games have impacted the industry in a positive way and sometimes in a negative way. And the negative way has been the cash grabs for these IPs that are famous in the virtual world. You know, the big corporations like Warner Brothers or so want to make as much money off of them as they can. So what do? They create a movie and they create a soundtrack to these movies, and sometimes they even just release soundtracks or that no one knows about and videos that people don't know about. But talking about video game movies specifically, um, one of the first times that I felt there was a pivot to where I actually enjoyed the movie soundtrack a little more than I actually enjoyed the game soundtrack was Resident Evil. Now, when I think Resident Evil, I think the first movie that was released. That's the music that comes to my mind. And so, taking that into perspective, and asking you guys all, like, what's a video game movie that you actually enjoyed? And there are a lot of them out there. There are not too many winners, so this is probably a short list. And is there something memorable musically out of it, even if there was a movie that you kind of didn't like, but you liked the soundtrack and you thought, like, hey, this soundtrack's not bad. And my example is hated Street Fighter. Enjoyed the soundtrack because, like I said, I gushed over Nas for a little bit. I thought one-on-one was great. I didn't expect that to find out that it was made in such a short amount of time. I actually thought they had real production time to kind of do this. But you guys tell me, like, Theme Team, fellas, what do you got?
Oh man, really the first thing that comes to mind, it wasn't a movie. It wasn't a movie based off of a video game. The video game was based off of a movie, but 007. And I mean, that's a game that I played so much when it came out. I mean, and that obviously, going over to the movies and stuff. I mean, for that's really the first thing that comes to mind for me. I mean, I know there's been like a billion of them probably, but that's really for me. That's probably what sticks out the most. Just going down the little 3D hallways and in some of those games, even just on the Nintendo, the first ones were they weren't easy games, but I was a child, but they were always exciting. So that'd probably be the one for me.
Bud?
Me, I would say probably Silent Hill. Like, I was so excited for that movie when I first heard that I saw the preview on television when they were still doing commercials and stuff. Most people don't even see commercials anymore. But as soon as I actually saw that they were making a Silent Hill movie, I literally lost my mind because I love Silent Hill, as you can tell. I named my last album Silent Hill. And of course, it's here in the road. But like that movie itself, I will say to me, because being such a true fan of the video games, it didn't give the video game justice. I will say that they did have a great soundtrack for it because a lot of the people that actually created the soundtrack for the movie were inspired by the original composers of the first, second, third, and fourth games. Like, when it comes to Silent Hill, I think they could have done so much better, especially creating more scare, tactics in the movie itself. They did a decent job portraying, the original storyboard, but the whole theme of Silent Hill itself was the fact that you had no clue what was going on. I mean, you were only getting little tidbits here and there. And throughout the movie, they pretty much tried to throw the storyline at you. I thought that kind of took away from the aspect of, what it could have been. But the music from Silent Hill itself, very inspirational. Like, I love the creepiness. The very first game, the opening theme music and the first cutscenes, that was probably the most prevalent, actual song from all the Silent Hills, even though they still had great, soundtracks. And I'm so thankful. I literally just saw a PS5 release. They finally announced that they are remaking the very first Silent Hill, and they are finally releasing Silent Hills, that which pretty much was taken off the board because Kojima left, and they had some kind of beef, and I guess they got back together and worked it all out. Norman Reedus is going to be in Silent Hills like originally planned, so it's awesome.
Yeah, and I remember that trailer was up for a very short amount of time. You could download the demo for that original Silent Hills, where it was called PT or something like that,
Yeah,
I think.
PT.
And man, that thing was spooky as hell. I was so excited. I was like, if this is just the demo, holy crap! What's gonna be the real game? Milyssa, video game movie that you remember that you actually enjoyed or enjoyed at least the music in it.
I like Pokemon a lot because I've always wanted a little monster to be my friend. So that was always my thing. And I got onto the whole Pokemon Go, the live action. And I just think that the theme song's really cute. I'm kind of corny like that, though. I mean, anything with human beings and little monsters, I'm game. And then of course, the fighting games like Street Fighter. Chun-Li was much good. I always wanted to be like Chun-Li. Because it was great to see females in games like kicking ass instead of being damsels in distress, which is always what women are. It's like, oh, please help me. So that was my thing. So I'm gonna have to go with Detective Pikachu. I know people are probably like, that's like the worst movie on earth, but anything with Ryan Reynolds in it, I'm game.
No, actually, Pokemon, I think was great. And what we didn't mention was there are animated movies, right? So it doesn't have to be like a full feature. It could be an animated movie. And I think the most interesting fact about that theme song, right? I Want to Be the Very Best, was that I forgot where some governor or something or mayor used that entire song as his speech almost, like literally word for word. And somebody picked it up in the media and was like, this is the Pokemon song. And I thought it was a joke until I heard it. And I'm like, this is surreal. This guy really did listen to the Pokemon soundtrack and say, my God, I need this as my speech. This is inspirational. And there are probably like 100,000 people walking around. I don't know. I feel inspired. I don't know why, but I gotta be the very best. And little did they know, they were going off of Pokemon.
No, their assistant who wrote it for him is the one who was a Pokemon fan. There's like, he ain't gonna get this. He ain't gonna get this.
There you go.
Probably could do a remix of.
Yeah, I can't add that was a great movie. That's actually one of the movies I was gonna reference. I love it.
I was gonna VHS, but I don't have it. My fucking friends' kids actually have it right now.
We're all gonna have to go watch it on Hulu or Netflix. One of them has it. Raxiel, tell us. You, sir, what do you got for us? Favorite video game movie soundtrack? It's coming, I know.
I will have to piggyback off of him with Silent Hill. He kind of took the words right out of my mouth. Silent Hill. Well, I actually like the first movie. It sounds like I like the first movie, and the soundtrack to Silent Hill, I've made so many beats out of that movie. The first movie, and then also the game when they kind of came out with that, I made so many beats out of the game and the movie. And there was time we blend them together and made different type of beats. So Silent Hill is definitely a movie that all the way down to the creepiness to sound effects that they had in the movie, we would take them and like alter them and make beats out of them. Also, another movie that sucked, but I did like the music, and I'm probably gonna get ridiculed for this, was Alone in the Dark. I'm probably the only person that ever saw it. That had a dope soundtrack, and not a good soundtrack in the sense of like the soundtrack was actually good, but there was sounds in the movie and in the music that was, if you had a good ear, you could take it and make it into something else, and it was amazing. And speaking of something recent, this is pretty new, but kind of showing how it goes from back then. So today, this is not a movie, but it's a show, the Castlevania animated series on Netflix. Man, I'm dying to sample a few things out of that. Like they got like the craziest opera over the top, the opera type music on that show that I love to death. So between Silent Hill, On the Dark, Castlevania show, those three, like if you're a person that want to sample something crazy, those three genres is crazy as far as the movie and the anime is.
And Castlevania, amazing series. If you guys haven't had the time to watch it, like it is everything that I wanted Castlevania to be, minus Simon Belmont, right? Because it follows one of his lineage.
Yeah.
Scarred.
Yeah, so Ready Player One, I know I actually haven't listened to the soundtrack for Ready Player One, but like and it's not necessarily a video game movie, but it is a movie that is highly influenced by pop culture from 80s to 90s, even early 2000s, and then up to date, but it's pretty much a virtual reality game that they all plug into because the world is like in the future and everybody's super poor and stuff. But like the creator of the video game, like they left 3 keys. Now, if you can find the 3 keys, you become the owner of the video game everybody's plugging into. And so you kind of become like a billionaire at that point. So like you got like this kid fighting against a major corporation who's being evil and stuff. And like they're plugging in, like they have a scene from The Shining. They have like a bunch of old video game references and like not references, but like inside of the game. I don't, they obviously had rights to some of it, but that's a great movie. I highly suggest that for anybody. It was definitely influential, just in the fact that like virtual reality, I do believe, is like the next step, and that involves entertainment with music, fashion. It's kind of everything's going digital already, so it's kind of leading up to that point. I feel like that movie, I feel like is great. I feel like it's essential, and video game lovers and anybody who loves pop culture would definitely love that movie and enjoy it.
Yeah, and I hear they're making a part 2 already.
Yes, I cannot wait.
The movie had a good soundtrack.
I have to listen to that.
Yeah, going back to your Silent Hill, like I do agree with you. I know I didn't follow the storyline the way it needed to, but I thought for a video game movie it was pretty decent. Right? It's the same way that I felt, Resident Evil kind of, took some artistic freedoms when making that movie. There you go, Umbrella Corp.
And I got Nemesis. I got a finish whole sleeve, but it's all going to be Resident Evil. I got Silent Hill on this side and Resident Evil on this side.
I was telling the folks before that I have a lot of green in one of my tattoos, so I have my sleeves on because or else it's going to look like that logo's bleeding through my arm. You guys are going to be like, "Where'd you get that cool hologram tattoo?" And I'm like, "No, it's not real. It's part of green screen that I'm working here." But I mean, those are all great, phenomenal choices, and it's interesting. I think animated movies are getting a lot more steam than they used to. Right before, it was seen as something for kids. And then we grew up, right? And so we were those kids that grew up that still enjoyed animated movies, but we want things that were a little more serious. And there's things like Mortal Kombat has an animated movie, that's following Scorpion's story loosely a little bit, right? A little crazy there. But there have been tons of Square Enix experimented with doing 3D animation with Final Fantasy VII and Advent Children. And when I think about soundtracks, my God, what more of a pivotal soundtrack than that Sephiroth's opening? Like you see that, you hear that, you're like, oh my God, like that's Sephiroth's soundtrack. Like I know, like that's his theme.
That dude is the shit.
Yeah. I mean, if you're Smash Brothers fans, if you're watching, and for our folks here on the panel, one of the most exciting reveals was when they revealed Sephiroth as one of the playable characters. And I'm not a Smash Brothers guy. Like I play it on and off because my kids, because they're younger. I can't have them seeing me decapitate people in Mortal Kombat, right? So Smash is a good alternative. But it's not my game. It's not. I don't pretend that it's my game. But I will say, seeing his intro, I was floored, and the music really is what sold it, in my opinion, right? It's not just seeing Sephiroth, is that bum, 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 right? Like, something grandiose is coming, like it's going to be something bigger than the average person that's going to join the fight. And you hear that, and I think, same thing with Street Fighter themes, same thing with Mortal Kombat themes. Like, you hear those themes for certain fighters, and you're like, that's it. It's gonna be on. And I'm that loser that part of my gym soundtrack was littered with like video game OSTs, right? Like God of War and Advent Children and things like that. And then when I needed to slow it down a little bit and just kind of either jog or whatever, I'd hear some of the Silent Hill stuff, some of the Resident Evil stuff. So it's crazy where we've come with it and how much the music, not just the games, right? The games when we're playing them, but how the music follows us outside of that experience. So, I would love to hear, like, if you could write or compose a song for a video game of choice, if they told you, hey, I want you to write this, I want you to do it, what would it be? If you had carte blanche of how you produced it, how you composed it, how you wrote it, which game would you pick to write the theme song for? And I'm going to start it off the opposite right now with Scarred. Like, Scarred, what game would you love to write the theme song for?
Honestly, like, probably Mega Man. I would have to say Mega Man.
Yeah.
Only because I actually got collectible Mega Man figures and stuff like that. He's just his image, his icon, the little songs and the everything was so simple in that time as far as entertainment. So like I don't know, I've always been in love with like Mega Man and like the whole got his little dog statue and everything. Like it's just to me it was awesome. Like then he has an arm that blasts and then he evolves in the cartoons to like Mega Man X and just things. Then he starts looking like a transformer kind of and then like so yeah, I would definitely have to maybe I'll have to do something like that.
That's great. It's funny because Mega Man, right? Here we know him as Mega Man in the US, but in Japan it was rock and roll, right? And so you had the music tie in there, and so that's why he was Rockman, because his alternate was roll. And so it was interesting that they switched it here because it was kind of cool that it was rock and roll. But anyway, small fact there. Milyssa, are you gonna rewrite the Pokemon theme, or is it gonna be something else?
No, Saw, because I like blood and gore, and I like creepy, and I like to watch people die. So I'm gonna go with Saw.
that was a little darker than I thought we were gonna go. We went from Pikachu to Jigsaw.
Well, I like the premise of, with Jigsaw being that, putting people in a situation where you want to see how bad you really want to live. And I think a lot of people do take life for granted. So,
and a lot of them people deserved it too. Like
they really did. Like some people really do deserve to die. And I felt like that.
I'm gonna have to go back and cut this video piece for you so you can see how so nonchalantly you said, "Saw, I like to see people die."
I'm just being honest with you. I feel like in Saw, like those people that were dying, a lot of them really deserve it. I mean, you can't argue with that.
Raxiel, the man of many talents, what would you be rewriting?
Let's do it.
A game that will rewrite the music?
Yep.
Honestly, I would rewrite. There's two games I would like to rewrite the music to if I could. I would do Symphony of the Night. If they remade that somehow, I would love to remake that music. That's like, I could play that game any day, anytime. Castlevania Symphony of the Night is like an all-time classic. I still have the PlayStation 1 disc, the original one I bought in the Bronx. I still have the disc and the whole thing perfectly in the box. And I would love to remake a 3D version if they made it a soundtrack to a Streets of Rage game. I know they remade Streets of Rage, the new one, Part 4, which is an awesome game. I love that game, but I wish they made like a 3D version of it, kind of like a Gears of War type thing, but with the Streets of Rage characters. And I would love to do a soundtrack to that. Those two games, the soundtracks, the game, they're like all-time classics for me. I could play them anytime, anywhere, sober, drunk. I could play those games anytime. I would like to do those two if I could.
Right. Well, I'll put myself on the chopping block. If I could write a song, it would have to be for the Metal Gear series. I don't know which one, but that is like one of my favorite franchises of all time. everything that Kojima does has always been at an epic scale, and it's just like, I wasn't joking when I said, I'm that guy. I've caught myself singing like Snake Eater and some of the other songs, and I'm like, and my wife's looked at me like, what the hell, Snake Eater? Is this something you need to tell me? I'm like, no, it's not what you think. But it's one of those songs that, like,
oh man,
I love it. I love the song. It's a great song. I think all the OSTs for the games, Metal Gear, 2, Sons of the Patriot, like all of those OSTs are just amazing pieces of work. And he's just a guy that loves what he does, and so I would, if I could write the song, it would be that. Kaz and Bud, what would it be, man?
Man, okay, well, my brain is fighting between two, really. I really want to say Call of Duty. And I want to say Call of Duty because, man, I mean, just they have big, epic music in there. And a lot of people can't really tell how big the music is if they're playing on a cell phone or something. Yeah. But I mean, that's the type of music I love to play. I like symphonies and orchestras and strings and pianos and, and I'm gonna sneak the other one in because I feel like I could remake it and modernize it. But the Contra, I mean,
oh yes,
I'll always remember the Contra music, but if I could, and I might actually do that sometime soon. I might make a Contra beat, to be honest with you. It's not like it hasn't been done, but I mean, I just, that's something that, man, I would like to, I'd like to play with that a little bit, but I'd say a little bit before that would be Call of Duty, and they're always changing music on Call of Duty. So, I feel like that's a franchise or a business you get a part of those, who makes that game, then, you could have a lot of work ahead of you. And that's one of the things that we try to gear towards is actually being able to put ourselves in a position to actually make music for video games. So, but that's what I got.
With me, actually, I've actually done a redo on a song before. Years ago, I released a song on SoundCloud. It was a Link song. Basically, it was a Zelda remix. I didn't actually use any of the music in it at the time. I just used like Navi and her like different little sound clips from her, and different little sound clips from the game itself. But it's literally just Link's story, almost kind of talking smack about Zelda, like how she get all the fame and glory, and I'm the one doing all the work. But Silent Hill, things that I'm actually going to be remaking soon. I'm also going to be doing. I'm actually going to be using Zelda Ocarina of Time's music because some of that music is some of the best music I think that has ever been on any games. Every single Zelda, from the first one to the actual Link game on NES to A Link to the Past. The Ocarina of Time still, for me, is probably the best one, but I'm definitely going to be redoing that. And, of course, some Mario remixes. I mean, who doesn't know that?
Oh, and there have been hundreds, I would say, that have made the chopping, that haven't made the chopping floor. And it's funny because you mentioned those huge epic themes, and when I think Modern Warfare, I think of like the old movies like Under Siege and The Fugitive, right? Where you had these heart-thumping orchestral kind of compositions that followed you in the excitement, right? And so you see that in so many games. One of the games that we didn't mention, and I feel like I should slap myself for not mentioning it, is Halo, right? Yeah. Anywhere, like you hear that hum, like if you're a gamer, automatically that is Halo. Finish the fight. Let's get going. Let's do this. And I had the pleasure. I was doing a project with Microsoft a long time ago, and I don't know if you guys remember the Zune. I may be dating myself, but at one time, Microsoft got this crazy idea that they could battle Apple in the music space, and they came up with this Zune project. And I was part of that project. And one of the things that I got to see was, the Xbox 360 kind of being prepped for the Halo launch. And I was there for one of the launch parties. And I remember sitting in this Microsoft space where they brought out the 360 on its own little thing, right? And they launched Halo, and hearing that theme, right, echo through that viewing area. I had goosebumps. I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to get my hands on this. And it was funny because they gifted me a Halo Zune, and it had the OST, all the OSTs on there, and it was just amazing. Like, it was one of those things where I heard the whole thing for like a week.
That's dope. That is dope.
Yeah, I wanted to mention Halo earlier, to be honest
I
with you.
remember the Zoom.
Kingdom Hearts also.
Oh yeah, Utada Hikaru's many songs for them, right? She's done like 3 or 4, I think, for them over the years. And she's an amazing vocalist. So I love the theme songs in Japanese and in English. Like, I hear that, and it's one of my favorite games. I'm gonna say, I like RPGs. All right, I know smashing Disney characters into an RPG sounds childlike, but that's a hard game, man.
Yeah,
like,
that's
you
hard.
play it is difficult.
Yeah,
it is cheesier than Shao Kahn in the Mortal Kombat arcade in 2 and 3. All right, like that is frustration. It's funny. Like, that's one of the few games where I remember looking at the strategy guide and going like, I don't know how to beat this asshole. Like, you guys need to give me it. And then once they tell you, you're like, oh damn, I should have done that, of course. Yeah. But fantastic game. So I know we're kind of winding down, but just as a final question for everybody, I kind of want to get your opinions as to where do you think video games are going to impact the music industry? In what capacity? And I'll kind of set the floor of what I'm thinking, because, years ago, video games were something that our parents kind of told us it's going to rot your brain and it's never going to amount to anything, right? And you feel like looking at your parents and saying, I could have been playing esports now, or composing videos, or programming these games and been making a lot of money. And I listened to you and I didn't. But now it's so ingrained in the culture, right? Like, you have Video Games Live, which is an event that gets curated once a year across, not just the country anymore. It's across the world. I think they visit many countries now, where they just play orchestral themes of video games, and that's their shtick, and that's all they do. You have, I think, video game movies are going to continue to be prevalent moving forward, right? We're seeing an influx of them now. We're seeing remakes now, and we're seeing games that, honestly, they're like movie experiences. If you look at Uncharted, for example, I know a lot of people who are Indiana Jones fans who didn't play video games before picked up that game and enjoyed it so much because they said it felt like a movie. And then from a soundtrack perspective, Halo is such an old game, but that soundtrack is still one of the top selling soundtracks, of all time. I mean, it's just huge numbers for Microsoft, which they didn't expect. And so I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to let you guys speak. Scarred, I'm going to start with you and put you on the spot again, buddy. Where do you think we're going? Where's this video game train taking us when it comes to music and the music industry?
Oh, he's muted.
Scarred, you're muted, buddy.
Hello?
Yeah. There you go.
We can hear you now.
Yeah. So one thing I'm starting to see, like, is the more of the Fortnite gameplay setup, like and I would say it started before that. You got like Elder Scrolls, EOS, Skyrim, and things of that nature. So, like, I think the free roaming, and I guess you could say that stems back from like Grand Theft Auto, and that stems back from like Zelda, when you can kind of just roam the whole map and kind of thing. But like, what I'm seeing now is like they're starting to create their own worlds within the video games, like Fortnite kind of did, to where they're doing virtual performances from like Travis Scott and things of that nature, and then like they're having events to where like you got like 1,000 kids sitting in a little virtual reality game, kind of just watching whatever, doing whatever the event says. So I kind of see like these kids taking off with that, and they're it seems like they're more adapting to technology than we were. Like me growing up, I didn't really start playing video games until about Halo 3, and like I said, the Game Boy and Guitar Hero and things like that. So I see it. I definitely see it going more of a virtual reality route. That kind of seems like the thing to be. And that
Right.
just goes for any entertainment, really, like movies. Like you got Fast and the Furious. Well, they center it around Vin Diesel now after Paul Walker died, and now it's kind of revolving around him. And then it's definitely, I think, going that virtual reality route to where people's lives are so boring and people are so stuck in a house now that they're just they want to experience through other people's experiences, I guess you would call it.
I agree. And you mentioned Travis Scott, but there was also Marshmello did a great concert in
Yeah.
Fortnite.
Yes. Yeah.
And I saw it, and I didn't know what to expect. Right? You hear this, a concert that's virtual within Fortnite, and you're kind of like, I don't know what the hell I'm gonna get into, but
It was pretty
funny
cool, though. It was
enough,
pretty awesome.
yeah, seeing it and seeing how people interacted with their avatars, right, and how he put it together with those folks at Epic Games, and then, so it was actually something I enjoyed, and I couldn't understand why I enjoyed it, but it was new and it was different.
I think it's ahead of the time a little bit. I don't think people are more so, or it would be happening more often. Because like when I seen the Travis Scott one, it was crazy because he's all super giant and it's like the Astro World and like and I'm like, dude, this is fucking crazy. Like,
yeah, Milyssa, what do you think?
I agree with Scar. I think everything's going to go virtual reality, role playing. I mean, I think if anything that COVID has taught us, you really don't need to leave your house to live a life. So, I mean, everything is going digital. And I think that's going to be the way for the future. And we're all going to be socially awkward. And I mean, it's called like it is. But I think it's great, though, too, because everything being on the computer and being able to interact with things. I mean, I think there's more of like a international reach that you can have, because even when you're playing video games, you can chat with people all around. It's a good networking platform. I mean, I look at everything as a good networking platform. So that's where I think that's headed.
And almost in a sense, some of these experiences are a little more personal, right? Like when you think about I guess I'll throw it back to everyone here as well, on top of the question I already asked. When you think about interacting with fans, right? It's a difficult thing because you do a show there's 100 things happening, right? And the bigger you are and the less time you have, you can't interact with everyone. It's impossible, right? And now, these games and these virtual experiences give you an opportunity where you can view a screen while you're doing what you're doing, right? And taking breaks in between and, answer a question here and there, right? Give somebody a shout out, let them know, hey, I agree. Like I watched, a couple of artists that were doing something live on Instagram, and it was interesting to see how they were able to like sing a few songs and then cherry pick questions from the audience while still giving folks shout outs and saying, hey, thank you for saying that. And, that's an experience that's very difficult if you're doing a show, right? You have a set amount of time. You have to get your part done, and then you kind of have to move on, right? Because it's a venue, it's rented, like, there are people being paid by the minute for being there. And, if you're lucky, you can interact with fans. But sometimes you can't, and that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing to do. And so, moving on to Kaz and Bud, same question, right? Like, where do you think it's going?
Man, I agree with virtual reality. I think that options will be incorporated more. Because like Scar mentioned earlier, Grand Theft Auto, it would give you an option if you wanted to upload your own music in there and stuff like that. And I think that just people want options. So I think that a lot of the games that hopefully that start coming out, I mean, you'll have options of what you want to hear when you're playing it. And I know that something I wanted to mention earlier, but being a hip hop artist for as long as I have, one of the biggest things was like Madden. That was another one of the places where I started hearing like all this hip hop incorporated into that too and stuff. But I think virtual reality is continuously growing and growing. So they're gonna find ways to incorporate it into that. They're gonna be able to do concerts. And just pretty much anything that you can imagine. I mean, it's a virtual reality. You can make it what you want to make it. So, that content creation, as far as that goes, is going to be something major and worth looking into for people who have the time to look into that type of content creation. But yeah, I mean, I think that and options, people want options. So, if you can upload your own stuff, or I'm sure artists would find a way to make it to where, now you can play a Jay-Z song if you pay, 25 cents or something, or something like that. I mean, something like that would make sense to me as well. So you're going to end up with these catalogs that you can play for these different games and stuff like that.
Yeah. Now I just want to add one more thing. Like, not only that, but like it's kind of like because technology is going to be around, I'm sure, longer than I am, and I'm only 23, but still, it's obviously a new age. Humans gave birth to technology. Unfortunately, it may be, it may result in our downfall. I feel like also it's kind of new to us as humans. So, obviously it's going to be misused at first. Any civilization, when they get new tools, they misuse them, but then they kind of get the grip of it. And I think we're finally coming, I think we're finally starting to use it properly. But not only that, like, if you create content and post it on the internet, like I said, if it's here longer than you are, you're kind of immortalizing yourself to an extent. So it also kind of helps in that aspect as well. Because, like, anybody who decides to play in a Marvel movie, okay, well, Marvel movies just broke cinematic history. Your character is now immortalized. And now, like, Captain America, you know how many times he probably walks down the street and it's like, oh, look, Captain America or Steve Rogers, like, it's probably annoying, but like you're immortalizing yourself. And I think that's something that's cool because, like, not a lot of people from, I would say like the 20th century did it, like, Tupac, Biggie, Eazy-E and stuff like that. But like, that's because they were legends of their time. So like not everybody was remembered as they were. And now it's a little bit easier for us because anybody can just do it. You just have to be able to entertain people within this square.
So, Bud, what are you thinking?
I kind of want to piggyback off of what y'all have all been saying. Virtual reality is definitely going to be a prevalent future in video game, history, especially the way that it's going. I can't wait to see what the actual PS5 is going to come out with their technology that they're putting in their virtual reality right now. And I will say that, kind of like what Kaz was saying about with Madden, I think the first video game that really utilized this, and something that's very, very underutilized at the time, is how they use soundtracks of different video game or actual artists on the video game, like Tony Hawk. And at a visual point, they're going to just be selling their songs to these video games to put it on there. Like if you're in some kind of an entertainment game, it's going to actually be prevalent to use those full soundtracks. Because some of the music that I found out or even heard for the first time was on Tony Hawk. And other video games don't really utilize that as much, but I think that it will be prevalent in the future. And as far as, soundtracks when it comes to virtual reality, for the fact that it's going to be first person, it's going to be in your ears because they're going to put speaker systems in the glasses and everything. It's going to be so much more in depth in how to actually hear the sounds. Because when you put stuff on headphones compared to just regular speakers. You hear things you never would have heard before, and it just because it's music. Music is vibration and frequency. And like back in the 80s and 90s when they were first creating these video games, they literally used the basics of melodies to drive the sounds, and that's why it really sticks with a lot of people in that age where they were coming up with video games, because it you can hear just those simple keys on a keyboard or any other tone, and you just get drawn back. And it's so profound and in an effect of our emotion and memories that it's just going to further from there and get even better.
Raziel, what do you got to say, buddy?
No, I think music and video games are going to be hand in hand for a very long time. It's going to get bigger. I mean, you see, they put hip hop artists or any kind of artists, they're putting them in the commercials to advertise the game when they're coming out. And sometimes they put you could play as that just particular character. I remember Big Boy and Andre 3000 were in the game Army of Two. You could use them as a skin in the game. So music is influencing video games, and video games is influencing music, especially for independent artists and signed artists alike. Now there's a way to get actually your music on Twitch. So when people are playing Twitch and they select your music to play while they're on Twitch, you get paid for it. So you get residuals from that. TV commercials and all that, they're using hip hop music more and more to influence their games and put it out there more. They're seeing that the game may be great as well, but it could get this huge push. I mean, you guys mentioned Call of Duty a few times. If I'm not mistaken, I think Eminem did a song dedicated for the Call of Duty games at one point.
Yeah.
And then he put that song on his album, and that launched his album even further, and that launched the game even further. So you look at it like that, hip hop music especially is taking it to a point where it's taking over the industry in its own way and influencing everything else from pop music to R&B music, Spanish music. Is influencing everything. You see, especially now that I've kind of dove into Spanish music pretty heavy, you see video games and hip hop influence that community. They're wearing clothing that I wore back in the days, Triple Fat Goose. I'm like, they whipping this out now. What's going on? But I think it's gonna keep getting bigger and bigger. They're gonna go hand in hand. I think the music industry and the video game industry is gonna kind of collide together and kind of find a way to monetize each other and go bigger than what they already are. And I see it going that direction. Like, if you're an independent artist to a signed artist, whatever, the video game generation is something you want to keep a very good ear on, in the sense of community, in the sense of expanding yourself. I mean, you see now when you're playing PlayStation, for example, I don't even play with the game music no more. Sometimes I'll put the sound effects all the way up, mute the video game music, turn on Spotify in the PlayStation and play with that music, whether it's my own music or whatever it is, Jay-Z, whoever. So it's going hand in hand like that. They even put that new kid, Jack Harlow, is in a new Call of Duty commercial. I mean, it's going hand in hand. I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. So I think it's going to get even bigger and become billions of dollars in the making.
I forgot to mention it. That is one of the biggest.
Well, I think folks have forgotten this, but one of the things I actually missed, one of the games that I missed that I thought was one of those first points where we were seeing this entanglement was Guitar Hero and Rock Band, right? Yeah. Like, if you weren't a musician, if you weren't someone that wasn't musically inclined, right, but you loved it, here was a way for you to pretend. Right, like, here's a virtual way to pretend you bought the instruments. And I remember having folks over, whether we were in the office or in someone's house, having these fake sessions of like Guitar Hero and Rock Band and going against one another. And here it is. Here's my weird thing that I'm going to put on the table as my game I would love to see in the virtual world would be Def Jam Fighters. In virtual reality, I want to be Biggie fighting Tupac in a fighting game.
Tupac's gonna win.
In virtual reality, while other people watch and kind of cheer on. And that I'm putting it out there. So whoever's listening, if you
Very
want to
dope.
produce a game, this is a game I want produced. Because I know they've been talking about Def Jam already coming back with the Fighters game. And this was such a weird game, but I loved it. Like I played it, and it was just funny and a good time,
It
and
was
having
good.
great music. And like I want to see this in VR. You know, like make it kind of like Fight Night, but I want to be one of these artists, and I want to start the beef. You know, like East Coast, West Coast, whatever it is.
You're gonna be breaking tables. Hey, you know what? Something I thought of is a kind of an honorable mention. In 2011, the game Civilization 4 was the first game whose soundtrack won a Grammy.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So just like a little trivia point there. But when it was able to cross over and you got video game music winning a Grammy, I mean, that's a pretty big deal. I mean, that's that just will continue that now moving forward. And intertwining those things and knowing that you can be, because a lot of the people that make music for video games are typically they're going to be producers and stuff that you just never heard of. Most of the masses haven't heard of a lot of these people, and some of them you have, of course, but a lot of them, they're back in the cuts. They sit in the studio, they get their money. They make music for video games or TV shows or movies and stuff like that. But now you can mess around and make something great enough to win a Grammy off of a video game. I mean, that's a big deal.
And it's funny because I had that as a clip that I wanted to show. Unfortunately, because of technical difficulties, I couldn't. But it's amazing soundtrack. Milyssa, I would pay to see you try to sing this. You're gonna have to learn the African language that was used for part of this. But I think you can hit those vocals.
I'm curious now. I'm curious.
Yeah. So you can YouTube this. Just type Civilization 4 theme song, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. But I think you can do this, Milyssa. Like this is a remix. Actually, this is a theme team remix that should be collaborated on.
I think we.
Oh yeah, hey. Well, a random thought. I should have brought this up way earlier. Sephiroth was one of the main characters, like the bosses to beat in Kingdom's Heart 2, I believe. He was like hard as shit in Hercules Coliseum towards the end of the game. It was either 1 or 2, I can't remember, but he was because the song played and he's like terribly hard, like. But yeah, I just had to.
Hey, Kaz, do I need to call 911 for you? I see.
No, you good.
It's like a horror movie going on back there. I see the light going on and off, and you look a little nervous for a second.
Don't worry about what's happening in the background. I don't have the option to blur the background like I usually do.
No. I just thought it's funny because as that goes off, it's next to Bud's Silent Hill, and so it looks like it's the beginning to some movie that we all are participating in that we don't know about.
Right.
So, folks, thank you. This has been an amazing conversation. I know we could go on for hours, but I'm sure we all have things that we have to do as well. But thank you. Like this was awesome. Really enjoyed everyone's opinions, comments, thoughts, and ideas around such an interesting space, and I look forward to seeing where it's going to go. For our viewers out there, we touched on a couple of things. One of them was fighting games and how those have influenced hip hop culture. We're going to be doing a 6-part series on fighting game history and culture and how it's impacted not just music culture, but culture in general. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have a couple of folks that were here today, hopefully on there as well. And we're going to talk through a lot of that stuff. I hope you all enjoyed what we put on the table here for you. We do it a lot of love. We do it for the love of games, for music, and of course for you all to have some interesting content to take back and get you through these hard pandemic times, right? And so, I just want to give everyone on the panel an opportunity to let everyone here know where they can find you and any new projects they should be looking out for. Theme Team, I just want to throw it out there. Amazing Mortal Kombat remix. Love it. Milyssa Rose is on there as well. Scarred Falyfe and Milyssa Rose released something. just
Yes.
yesterday, as a matter of fact. So they'll give you all the hubbub about that. And Raziel as well has put some interesting, awesome new music into the world. He's always doing something, so I have to ask all the time because he's always got something going on. But I'll let him, do the plug as well. So, Theme Team, let's start with you guys. Where can everybody find you, and what do you have going on? This way, that way. Just not this way.
So basically, Theme Team Remix across all platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. It's all going to be /Theme Team Remix. Right now, I think that we have come out with, I want to say maybe 14 or 15 different theme remixes so far since February. And on Friday, we just dropped a remix and music video for Cruella. And as a lot of these movies are going to be dropping, we're going to be dropping remixed songs, not just instrumentals, but songs right along with them. So next month, I believe that we are going to do the Saw movie or Jigsaw. So that's going to be happening. Milyssa Rose will be on that one for sure. And then also the month after that, I believe that we are releasing a Black Widow song, and Milyssa Rose is going to be on that as well. So she is she's like an official, unofficial Theme Team participant, but we have a lot of stuff coming. I mean, we're literally dropping new music every Friday. Every single Friday, we're dropping a new music and a visual, and every month we will be dropping a new song. So, that's pretty much everything in a nutshell. If I missed anything, bud, just let them know.
Sherlock Holmes is going to be dropping this Friday.
Oh,
made that beat. That shit is dope.
Can't wait to hear that.
Yeah.
And I can tell everyone that's listening in and watching the amazing stuff. These guys are great. So please go support them. Go check them out. Scarred, what do you got going on in your world, friend?
I actually just released my first single to all platforms Friday on the 28th. So that was pretty exciting. So yeah, on Spotify you can go, type in Vibe Scarred Falyfe. That's all I got out on Spotify besides like features. I got me and Milyssa just dropped something on Saturday. We have a music video, a music lyric video to that on YouTube, and then besides that, I got like 2 music videos out. I got one in the works still. That's supposed to be dropping next month, and then I plan on dropping a single every 28th of every month up until I drop my album in October. So that's pretty much where I'm at right now. And after that, I'm gonna start, working on my film.
All right. Well,
yeah.
All right, Milyssa, I know you got 100 things going on, but let us know where we can find you and tell us.
Okay, so Milyssa Rose on all platforms. I just dropped I actually re-released a project called Friend and Reminder based on mental health awareness. That's something I'm really passionate about, so I wanted to release it in the month of May. I'm working on things with the Theme Team Scarred Falyfe. Raziel and I have something that we're going to work on. So basically, I've worked with everyone. I'm a big old music whore. So at some capacity, I'll be working with everyone again. But thank you so much for having me and putting up with my shit show and, supporting me and being able to give me a platform so I can shamelessly plug myself and my friends. So I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, I'm definitely honored to have this opportunity.
Anytime. You guys are a pleasure, and you all do amazing work, and the world needs to know about it.
Oh,
Raziel, actor, director, writer, the list goes on and on. Please, sir, where can we find you, and where can we find all the many projects that you have going on in your space?
I guess to make it easy for everybody, you can just go to my Instagram, like my name on the screen here, at Raxiel Liz, and click on the link. I have all my links bio there, so it has the links to whatever movies I dropped recently, whatever movie I was in. My book, I got a kid's book called I Didn't Know My Daughter Was a Ninja. I have an adult book based on mental health called Shut the Fuck Up and Love. I have a Spanish album, an English album, and I'm working on a few things now. I have a movie called Lion in the Sand coming out. It's based on mental health. And due to the fact that mental health is such a big issue, I'm giving the movie out for free. We did professionally filmed everything. We're putting on. We decided to put it on YouTube so it could reach more people and help more people. And I'm gonna be putting it out soon. It's like about 45-minute short film, but it's awesome. It's based on mental health. And yeah, like Milyssa Rose said, we got something cooking that I don't want to say at all what it is because it's something that she's never done, and I'm excited to do it with her. It's gonna be a crazy It's gonna be a crazy project. It's gonna be insane. That when people see it, they're gonna be like, "Oh shit! I can't believe he had her do that." And when I put out the video content that I have for it, it's gonna be like, she's probably gonna hate me. She's gonna be like, "Motherfucker, are we filming a video or a damn movie?" So we got that, but I don't want to say what it is because it's gonna be dope. She herself doesn't even know what I have planned for it because it's one of those like I need all of it in my head before I tell her. But it's gonna be a game changer for me and for be dope.
It's not
Melissa, remember, keep some pepper spray in your bag, okay?
Bored.
Is it porn?
Bored.
Yeah, I don't think that I don't think we're allowed to have Pornhub as affiliates. So
you notice they've
Sorry,
been
guys.
alluding to it the entire show.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
you notice that.
All right, so is Theme Team going to create the soundtrack for this?
Yes, a lot of guitar, a lot of yeah.
My favorite part about this is that Melissa has no idea what's going to happen in this thing.
I have a few ideas.
Like you're gonna walk in, you don't know what wardrobe to have. Like you just don't know.
It's gonna be.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you. We thank you for watching.
It's gonna be
Amazing panel we had there.
Thank you.
I'm
Man.
That Game Dragon. Please, if you enjoy our content, subscribe, smack that notification button, drop us some comments, leave some questions. I'll make sure that the artists that came on get your questions if you have any for them specifically. Especially if you want to reach out to them for any projects, hint, right? But it's been an amazing experience. Thank you all for being on, and good night.
Yeah, good night.